I've met the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I've never seen her before.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Love Island cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps. My co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. It's great to speak to you, and it is great to finally finish off this series. Now, today, Chris, I do have a special guest joining us. Now, this guest is from Manchester, is a big Manchester United fan, swears like a sailor, is a massive TV reality show fan, and I'm pretty sure she called me a see you next Tuesday. And it isn't actually a clone of you, Chris. It's Jade from the Books and Booze podcast. So welcome to the show, Jade.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
my spirit animal by the sounds of it, Jade.
No, Jade, it is actually remarkable and, a little bit weird, but...
it must be that Northwest there, Dave, I think.
Yeah, it is
now, Jade, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is the Books and Booze podcast all about?
It's a podcast where I drink a shit ton of wine and talk about books, pretty much slurring half the time. And occasionally I do true crime episodes. And my latest episode, released yesterday, you actually joined me on, Dave.
I did.
Was a true crime episode, also very drunken, about a Bedford murder case from the 60s.
No, I do have an occasional glass of wine, Chris, as you know, but I think they probably had a couple more, a couple of sherries, and so I was slurring a little bit, to be honest, but it was a lot of fun to do.
It was a very good listen, actually. I'm about halfway through, but it was quite well that you started off sort of Oz Clarke style, saying what the wine was, and you both descended, and I was like, I've got to finish this off. But I must admit, I do have a bit of I remember the murder you were talking about, and I need to research because what it is, Jeremy, whenever I do anything or watch anything, I go down rabbit holes. I'm pretty sure we probably all do, but I'm terrible from Google, Wikipedia. I know Wikipedia is dodgy because people can about anything, but I'm going to have a proper read of all that, and especially with being in Bedford, Dave, in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's quite creepy.
It bloody is. I thought it was safe as houses around here, but I'm scared as fuck now. So, yeah, no, it was a real eye-opener. So, yeah, a lot of fun to do. Now, Jade, you're a massive reality TV show fan. So what are some of the shows you're interested in?
Well, I started off watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and that just, gave me a massive love for reality TV. And then I went on for, Bachelor in Paradise, Love Island, which is how I found you guys on Twitter and Podcast Republic, where I listen to my podcasts. And Love Is Blind, obviously, this one. The Circle, even. I've pretty much got everything besides Temptation Island, which Chris has actually been tempting me to dip my toes into.
Yeah,
I wondered where you were going with that.
You've got to. And The Circle's brilliant. I know you only watched one episode, Dave, didn't you? But
yeah.
Me and Sam were well in it, especially Richard Madeley was in this last series. As like he was a catfish. But no, I'm with you, Jade. We had the Hey You app. The Kardashians started the other night, and we were all over that. I've literally watched anything reality. I'd rather watch that than normal TV, to be honest.
It's so much more entertaining.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, the Kardashians, there was actually a fight at the end of this first episode of the new series. So Chloe and Kim were having a bit of a scrap at the end. There was actually a few slaps going down. I know that has no interest to you, Dave, at all, but it really is.
I've just got a glazed expression over my face. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I mean, look, we know most of it is set up. You can see that even Love Is Blind, but I just love the fucking when the drama kicks off. I really, really do. And also, Jade, it's so good that you're on because we actually get a female perspective while we've been reviewing this. It's always nice. We always have Joe on, our friend from our Secret Recorded My Boyfriend podcast, and we do Love Island. So if you come on and do this, has been great because I just want to know what are your thoughts on some of the couples, especially the last five. I mean, you can call us both out, no problem. But do you think me and Dave are off with some of the analysis of the people?
Some of them, yeah. So, for instance, I think from what I remember from your podcast, you weren't too convinced on Giannina.
Yep.
But I actually absolutely love her.
Thanks, Jade. Anyway, it's been a great show. No, I think you're right. I think as the show's gone on, I'm the same. I was not. I said she was dead immature and everything. I do agree. I'm not just saying it because you've called me out. I agree. I don't like Damien at all. I think he's an absolute bellend. So no, I think you're right. So who else you think we've got wrong, or what's your opinion on the ones?
But I think the Giannino one was the one that I very strongly disagreed with. I definitely agree with everything you say about Jessica. But I think also you're quite harsh with Mark. I think that he is actually quite a sweetheart.
That was Dave.
You fucking teed her up, didn't you, Chris? If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the fucking question.
Keep him coming. Come on, keep him coming.
I do. I think you said, Chris, that Kelly and Kenny are like the most boring couple that you could possibly imagine on reality television, and I concur completely.
Yeah, they're very strange, very strange. What do you think? Because even Dave's called me out on this one. What do you think about Amber and Barnett?
I hate them.
I think we're there, Dave, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say about that couple. But what was I going to say? There was something else I wanted to say about. So apparently I heard on the Love Is Blind thing, the producers actually had a bunch of other couples. This is what I've heard, that did choose other people in the pods and wanted to get engaged, but their stories were just so boring they didn't actually end up airing it.
Yeah, I said that to Dave, and I said that to you. I'd read that as well. I think it was 8 couples, wasn't it? They went with 5, but there was actually 8, and we never even saw them, did we, at all, as couples? They just basically, I mean, that, and to be honest, though, I think that's a little bit naughty. I know, obviously, they've got a production and the editing and stuff, but why were these other 5 any? I mean, obviously Jessica and Mark were fantastic TV in that, but I think Cameron and Lauren were pretty boring. Kenny and Kelly, boring as fuck. There must have been other stories out there, but again, if that's the way they're going, that's the way they're going. They've got to cram it all into like an hour show, haven't they? So I suppose
they must have been so boring, though. If Kelly and Kenny got through.
Oh God, yeah.
You don't want to see them on TV, to be honest. So yeah, I'm all for it. Cut out the crap. Give us a bit of drama.
At least with Cameron, you've got something that it's like you can't look away. It's that bad because he's so creepy.
Yeah, I said to Dave, he really invades Lauren's personal space, doesn't he? Like he sort of forces his opinion on her before she can even answer. It's very, very bizarre.
Yeah, no, it would just give me the creeps.
He's like Chris when you try and put on your sexy voice.
What one where I should be arrested? Yeah, that one.
I'll see you next week.
Nice to meet you. Never worked that seduction technique, Dave. Never ever.
No comment.
Now, before we actually go into the episode, let's hear a promo from the Books and Booze podcast.
Welcome to Books and Booze, a bookish and wine and juice podcast. While Books and Booze is predominantly about, books and booze, we do alternating episodes featuring true crime cases. So whether you're a fan of books, drinking, or true crime, this is the place for you. We're available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Republic, wherever you get your podcasts from. Pour yourself a glass of whatever you enjoy and enjoy the show.
Why don't we start off with the explosive start? So we got the cliffhanger at the end of episode 9, and then we got to see how it was playing out. So, Chris, we were talking about, why is Damien such a blubbering mess? And at the start of the episode, we get to find out why. So, Jade, what did you make to how that unfolded with Damien and Giannina?
Well, I think that he is a massive coward, and I was so angry with him for what he did. If he knew he was not going to propose, then he could have at least given her the respect to do it, not while she's in a wedding dress, standing in front of a bloody person that's about to marry them, in front of all their friends and family. I got so angry with that, and then I think she ran off. That was heartbreaking. I thought it was really sweet that the mom ran after her, but then it seemed like the mum just collapsed into like sobs and needed more consoling than bloody Giannina.
She absolutely did. Now, Chris, what did you make of that as well?
Now, before we get put me little flag down in the sand now, Jade,
What?
I take on board everything you've said, right?
Mhm.
About Giannina. I agree.
There's a book coming.
He's a big book. Damien,
Oh,
he's an
dear.
absolute bell. And I did say on a few episodes ago, and I could be completely wrong, I honestly think as part of the contracts of them doing the show, is they have to go to that altar. Because I agree with you. Why didn't he just put the poor girl out of a misery? The day of the thing, he's talking about how much he loves her and how much they've come along as a couple, and then he just drops one hell of a nuke there on them. I was with you. I felt so sorry for her. However, when she fell down the embankment, I gave a bit of a laugh.
Funny.
But it was a bit set up on that bridge because you could see they put the camera low. You could literally see her getting a cue when to get like upset when a mum come in. I wasn't buying all that. That was proper reality TV stuff. However, what a bell end. I do agree, Jade. He's an absolute dick, and he should have told her. However, when you're watching the rest of the show, and I said this to Dave before we recorded, I said, but they must have to go through this because the people who get rejected, and there's a few of them, you're like, why would you, that could scar you for life. The mental health stuff alone could be, your whole life could be ruined, unfortunately. But I mean, don't get me wrong, they've commissioned series 2 and 3, and me and Dave will be talking about it.
I feel like it's, that's the first time she's ever gone up to get married, and imagine the next time that it happens for real when it's not bloody reality television and she's going to be shitting bricks.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
oh, is the same kind of thing going to happen to me again? Like, it is going to play with her mind for the rest of her life.
Yeah, I think what he's... Sorry, Dave, I'll say one last thing.
No, go on.
One thing he did say, though, Jade, which like I said, I don't like him, but I do understand. He said, you're all in because we're at the wedding stage. You've not been all in on the relationship the whole time. But she's allowed to have doubts. She's allowed to do that. You could see it. And I thought their relationship seemed like it was working. So I think what he was saying was right, but it's a hell of a time to pick his argument to say no. I did feel sorry for her, even though I thought some of it was a bit staged afterwards.
Yeah. I didn't really agree with what you said about her being so up and down. I kind of thought that she was quite mature and consistent throughout their relationship on the show. And I find her really smart and fiery.
So I'd have to agree with that because I think, I'm sure I said in the last episode, one of the things I liked about this couple was the fact that they could actually resolve their differences, and when they were at the restaurant and, Damien was going on about the phone use and what have you, and he was kind of laying down the law, and then Giannina started looking at her phone. I found that quite funny. But at the end of that, she was looking at him all gooey-eyed, and she was like, she'd listened to what he had to say, and then was like, okay, yep, I see your point. I agree. Let's move on. So I agree, but I just think she's just too much for him. I think Damien wants this good little wife who's not going to disagree with him, certainly not going to be all fiery. And as you say, Chris, he's just a boring fucker. So I don't think they're a good couple. I don't think they're a good match. But what a shitty trick. And I know like the production has got involved with setting certain things up. There is no way someone like that could act like that. The emotional wreck that Damien was leading up to that point, you couldn't act like that, or else you would be an Oscar winner. So, but I tell you what, she fucking gave him both barrels, didn't she? When she composed herself, she proper laid into him.
I wanted to actually ask you guys, as a man, what would you do if you had to walk back into the room and you saw that face with those arms crossed, like looking at him like that? What would you do?
I'd be hoping that her dad knocked me out or something, so I didn't have to face it. But I just want to his daughter. I know, Jade, I agree. And you're right, Dave. She's tore strips off him, and quite rightly, to be fair. I think that's where she came of age in the series, to be honest. And like I said, I've taken the mick and having a joke at her hands. But I think out of everybody I watched in this last episode, she was the one that I actually end up liking. Everyone else I don't care about, but I actually had a bit of an investment in what she wanted to do next.
Yeah, I agree. And just for the record, I would be absolutely shitting it. Like my stomach would be on the floor
Yeah.
when
Terrible.
walking into that room. It's like I think I'd revert to a 10-year-old boy, and he kind of did. But what agitated me a little bit when she was giving him both barrels, he started to say, "Well, this is what you do." It's like, of course she's fucking tearing strips off you. He tried to sort of turn it round and aim it back at her, which I didn't like. But then, when she tore off a bit of the dress and sort of wrapped it up, to show what he did when he proposed, and then fucked off. I thought she did absolutely brilliant in that final kind of farewell.
She did. And also, you're saying about Damien being a boring fucker. I honestly think maybe he should get with Kelly. Now, shall we talk about Kelly and Kenny? Now, there's another situation there. I had these two down for an absolute certainty. I would have put my house on this, that they were going to be in a relationship. And Kelly just threw an absolute curveball I did not see. And I must admit, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, they've been the most boring couple. But this is probably the one revelation in this last episode I wasn't expecting.
Now I'm going to let Jade respond to that first.
When they were standing up there, Kenny obviously was all in. He seemed like he actually really wanted to go through with it. She, like you said, threw in the curveball. And I find that, like, her face, while they're busy getting asked the question, like, are you going to take this man to be your husband or whatever, she was like smiling at him so genuinely. How can you smile at someone like that when you're about to literally rip their heart out?
Yeah, I agree. I find that so bizarre. Unless they've shot different at different times, Jay, but it looked really, really uncomfortable. I agree. Sorry, Dave.
No, I was just going to say I've been calling out the wrong serial killer because I was calling Cameron out for being a bit of a serial killer. But you're right. I think the way she's kind of, it's almost as if she wanted that validation. She wanted that comfort to know that Kenny was going to propose to her.
Mm.
And it's like, now I've got it. Okay, brilliant. Whew, relief. Now I'm going to step all over your heart. It was very weird. But I do have to say, a few episodes ago, she did put it out there. She said, we're not kind of being a bit physical yet. So, I want to make sure when we're physical, I have this massive, powerful orgasm.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. I'm kind of thinking Kenny came up short there.
Oh, God.
I don't think Kenny got anywhere near that position, Dave. I think she did that on purpose, just to say, just fucking don't touch me, because I think there was no intention of him having a relationship. Honestly, it really got me. That really was the turn in the episode I wasn't expecting.
I wasn't expecting it either. I mean, Jade, what do you reckon? I didn't see this one coming.
No, I didn't see it coming. I honestly thought that they would be the only couple that actually made it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, who was the next one? It was
Amber and Barnett.
Amber and Barnett again. Don't like either of them. Not convinced by them at all. But yeah, they did the deed, and to be fair, they were absolutely all over each other. Maybe I've just got it wrong this whole series, but I can't. Not that I can't see it. I just don't think either of them. They're quite arrogant in some respects. I don't know whether it's just the way they've been filmed, but I just don't buy into either of them as people, really.
I did just want to mention, though, about Kelly and Kenny before we go on to Amber and Barnett, that, how her speech, she goes, I hope you can appreciate that I can't marry you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you appreciate it. What the fuck is he supposed to appreciate?
I was like, what?
Very good point, that, Jay. And to be fair, he come out with a bit of class. He did sort of speak to everybody, didn't he? And that he was very nice about it, to be honest. And I think even her mum and dad were shocked, weren't they? They were like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. I mean, she had hinted about this previous relationship, and ultimately, I mean, especially when she was talking to the camera after, you just realise that, she's not quite over that yet, I don't think. And so, we hadn't really had much clues that this was going to go wrong, apart from when they got out into the apartment and she fucked off to a conference rather than staying there with Kenny. I guess that was, in hindsight, that was a bit of a clue that she wasn't all in. But that was really weird. I hope you appreciate it.
And then, like, he's left there at the altar to give a speech to everyone, and she just, like, buggers off.
So basically, I'm not going to marry you. Stand there and explain it to everyone, and you shit in bed.
Yeah. Twist his balls right round.
The ultimate kick in the teeth, yeah. So let's get back on to Amber and Barnett. What did you think of all this situation, Jade? The whole getting married and everything.
Okay, well, I really don't like them. I think that Barnett doesn't make any effort at all. Amber's just boring as fuck. But when they're up there at the ceremony, the way that she looks at him, it's like this infatuation, but it's like nauseating. She looks like Puss in Boots.
I wondered where you were going with that. I think she looks at him at that altar like, oh, I'm never going to have to work again.
Yeah, she's basically like drooling, like, yes, it's so close.
Yeah, it's so close. I do also think that if Barnett ever upsets her, he's definitely only going to have one sleeve on his suit jackets for the foreseeable future. She's going to absolutely rip his balls off. I'm telling you, she's not going to mess around.
100%.
Now, sorry, Dave, go on.
No, it's all right. I mean, I guess we had a bit of drama leading up to it, didn't we? I mean, I don't see. I know they got married. I don't really see a future for this couple because, again, unlike Giannina and Damien, all right, I know how that ended, but they actually resolved things, whereas sort of Barnett just clams up. And, again, I think Amber is just... I really like this couple in the first few episodes, but I have kind of gone off them because, she's just... Whatever problems she's got, she clearly just doesn't want to work. She wants to be a stay-at-home mum. And I just get the impression she sees Barnett as a meal ticket. And, Barnett, I don't think is up for that. So, yeah, they got married. The fact that she was trying to call him and she was sort of beside herself, she had no idea what was going on. He wasn't answering his phone. I don't see a future for this couple, quite honestly.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm with you. What do you think, Jade? Do you think there's something there?
No. I think it's all bullshit.
It is bullshit. It is. And if you don't mind, I want to talk about the final couple before we get on to Mark and Jessica, because I've got a few things to say about that. But I think it was a bit too obvious that Cameron and Lauren were going to get married because they spent 15 minutes building up to their wedding. They didn't spend that amount of time on anybody. I kept thinking this is going to be an almighty crash, the last one of the series. And if they don't get married, is it on a cliffhanger or something? And they obviously did. But I'm still not convinced Lauren is 100% down in this relationship. I think you pointed it out, Dave, and I'd not really noticed it, but there's something weird going on with Cameron anyway. He's very, very intense, but I just don't see the connection. I really don't.
Yeah, they're so odd. They just make me feel really uncomfortable just watching them together.
It's weird, isn't it? It's really weird viewing.
Yeah, I mean, she seems real, doesn't she? She seems authentic in what she does and having the doubts and everything. I think when I see her on screen, it feels like a real person.
Mm.
Cameron, I still maintain he's a fucking serial killer or something because he is so deadpan. I mean, he gets occasionally a bit emotional, but when they're together, he's so all in, but it's not in a loving way. It doesn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling when I see him. It's like he's trying to, imagine how he's going to slice and dice her. It's just very, very strange. But I thought she might say no, to be honest.
I thought the same.
Yeah, I thought that was how they were building it up. But, it was good. They have wobbled the last few episodes, but I don't know. I was quite heartened by the fact that they got married, apart from the fact that, like I say, he's a serial killer.
Good luck, Lauren.
We've all got our faults.
At least, hey Jade, though, at least you can pencil in a couple of years. It might be one of your episodes, you know, like.
I know. Spin-off show.
I think you're right. We had that little bit of doubt with Lauren, and she did sort of go through the ringer with her family and with her friends, and she'd mentioned a couple of things. So I do agree. I did think if anybody, it would be her, not him. He was a bit like Damien. He was an absolute emotional wreck. However, on the flip side, he obviously wanted to marry her. I have heard rumours, though, that there is something in the pipeline for these two, and he's actually doing a rap tour of America at the moment.
You're fucking kidding me.
Yeah, of course I am.
I have no comment. This is not exciting news.
It's absolutely terrible. I mean, it's like me and Lauren are going out to the people. We're just gonna start going on the streets of New York, and it would be like, you get inside now, mate.
They could do though like a duo. Like he could do the rapping, and she could do that awkward mum dancing.
Oh my God, he's no Marshall Mathers anyway. Definitely, that's absolutely terrible. Now let's get on to the main event. Unfortunately, now mine and Dave we have slated Mark, Jade. I'll take this on the chin. However,
Lord Farquaad.
yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Has it been any more obvious that Jessica was going to say no? So I'm going to set the scene. Mark's there. He's got his mum there, his family. He's absolutely besotted. He's mentioning a couple of things to his mate. His mate, the whole way through, has been consistent. He can't look at the camera. Every time Mark mentions Jessica, his head's down. He's just like, you are making a fucking mistake, mate.
Yeah.
And he goes with it to support him. It's his best mate. I get that. But then Jessica comes in. She's got nobody taking her down the aisle. There's no one of her family there. She comes in looking for the center of attention again, and she fucking gets it. And I that is the one, even though I was wrong about Kenny and Kelly, I definitely would have bet my house that they weren't getting married.
Yeah, you know, when I watched the show, I was so surprised because the way that she looked at him and smiled and stuff, it really looked like we were going to get her just suddenly flipping around and, you know, marrying him. To me, I was like, what is she doing? It actually looks like she's going to marry him. And at the last second, she was like, no.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I mean, what did you think, Dave?
There was a massive change in Jessica when she sat down with Barnett, and leading up to that, she was like, I don't want to leave anything on the table, so, you know, I need to have this conversation. And then when Barnett said, I think you might, you know, it felt like you were having regrets about us, she suddenly switched to like, I'm mortified. Why would he possibly ever think like that? And then suddenly the words that she's speaking, her mates are saying, oh, the sex must be great. And she's like, yeah. You know, it's weird, but again, I don't know what is going on in her head, because she clearly doesn't, she believes what she's saying herself, but we as the viewers, I think, can see right through it. But all the words that she's saying about how, you know, in love with Mark she is and stuff, and a little bit like Kelly, you know, she wanted to have that validation that there is someone who will say, you know, they'd like to marry me. Right, okay, I know that. Now I'm going to absolutely crush you. And I can't quite agree that we've been too harsh on Mark. I think I absolutely have a lot of empathy for him. And he has been absolutely all in. And Jessica doesn't deserve that affection, quite honestly. But he needs to wise up a bit, because, and I'm sure looking back at the show, he'll probably feel like a bit of a twat. I just, you know, you kind of want to shake him and say, can you not see this? Can you not see that she's not interested? So the best thing you can do is walk away. And I think it's a frustration with Mark, rather than, there's absolutely nothing malicious about him at all, but he is incredibly frustrating.
He's very naive.
Yeah.
You know, you said earlier that Jessica, you noticed a big change in her. I think the big change was that it was probably the first time we'd seen her sober on the show, on her wedding day.
What was your podcast again?
Books and Booze.
No, I think you're right, actually, Jade, because it was very bizarre. And she mentioned afterwards in the VTs that, her mum and dad had got divorced. She didn't want to put them, she didn't want to go through that sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. But then a real nasty side come out of her. And she's like, well, I'll go and apologise to people if I really have to, but I'm not changing how I feel and blah, blah. And I'm like, I respect that. But why the hell have you gone through the 10 episodes? You could have done this 5 or 6 episodes ago. A bit like what happened with Carlton and is it Diamond?
Yeah.
That was completely, but they could have blagged that and falsified the whole thing just to get to the end for a bit of exposure. I don't, and I'm not just saying this because she's a lady, Jade. I'm not, because I just do not think she's a nice person. And I hope that by watching this, she humbles herself and realizes that she isn't always the centre of attention. And by having 4 bottles of wine every time you go out, that doesn't help.
It sounds like me last night, really.
Yeah, but you're on lockdown, so you're not going out.
She is a bit of a see you next Tuesday.
Oh.
I think, I love the fact that Dave didn't know what that meant, did you, Dave? So long.
Yeah. I mean, you know the bit I mean, don't you? So in Thriller, when they come out of the cinema, you get the whole opening. He turns into a werewolf, and then there's something about there's a line in there that's like, "See you next Wednesday." I guess I always sort of thought that you just got it wrong, and you were like, "See you next Tuesday." So yeah, what a see you next Tuesday to not understand what that meant.
Like the pigeon detectives, Dave. Yeah.
Oh yeah, take her back to her boys. I love. Did we leave that bit in the episode? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I love the fact that we were like, nope, right. I'm going to Google. Oh, you're right. Every fucking time we played that song, I cringed so much. I'm like, he's fucking done it again.
What's he playing at? Shit singer.
He's just doing this to wind me up. He knows what the real lyrics are.
Oh my god! At least I never released that Imagine thing I sang the other day, Dave. I'm so glad that I never got lighter, Dave. Fuck me.
I'd be doing the old Homer Simpson gif again.
Back into the hedge. You'd be sending it me everywhere.
I'd be retweeting it every other week. Don't forget about this one.
Now we are at the end of the show, but there is a reunion episode as well, so quite interesting to see, because I know this was filmed originally about 18 months ago, so I'm not sure when the reunion is set, but hopefully there might be a bit of a more backstory to some of the couples.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that today, I think.
Yeah, so what do you reckon? Should we do a review of that one as well?
I won't mind doing one, Dave, even if it's not a full-on episode, just a bit of a catch-up just to see where they're up to. I think it'd be quite nice.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, fucking hell, we're in. All we've got to do is watch TV and drink, so let's do it.
Exactly. And also, I know I've mentioned it to you guys off the show, you've got to watch, everyone out there, Tiger King on Netflix. It is without doubt the greatest shit show I have ever seen. It is amazing. So get on that on Netflix. It's outstanding TV.
Awesome. I'm going to go crack open 4 bottles of wine later and give that a go.
You definitely deleted me now, Jade.
I did want to mention one last thing. Funnily enough, again, about Kelly and Kenny. And I don't know why. They're like the most boring couple of all. But like for some reason, they had so many talking points for this episode. So, after he's given his little speech to everyone at the wedding party, right? He then goes back to the wine cellar and he's just had his heart crushed, but he doesn't go for like the champagne that's on ice or beer. He sits there swigging a bottle of water in a wine cellar after having his heart broken. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but I only like Prosecco, Jade, so I'd probably be the same. I don't drink beer, hate beer, and I don't drink wine. So
I think if you've just had your heart broken at the altar, but it might be a bit of an exception.
I'd be more likely to nick some of the wine, I think, and go, well, fuck is you bastard, you've got me here. I want to make a bit of money.
You know what?
I wouldn't do that, Dave.
I'd completely forgotten about that bit, but it's a brilliant point. And the fact that the way his arm holding the water is off camera and you see him, he's obviously crushed. He's surrounded by bottles of wine. that is the time to hit the wine. And he just sort of lifts his water up, and I'm just like, oh, you fucking twat. I thought you were boring twat before. Now you've just solidified it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit harsh, actually, Dave. But no. So, Jade, thank you so much for coming on today's episode. Where can everybody catch you on Twitter and on the podcast?
You can find me on Twitter under Books Booze Pod, and my podcast is called Books and Booze. There's a couple of Books and Booze podcasts actually, but mine is obviously the best one.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
And you're also quite active on Instagram as well with your bookworm page.
Yeah, Boho Bookworm, where you can probably usually catch me with a book in one hand and a glass of wine in the other.
Perfect. Sounds good. Sounds good.
I'm not quite liking this. I feel a bit like Jessica.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, Dave will blame it on me anyway. It's fine. I said that.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, guys. It's a bit surreal because I've listened to you guys for so many, months. But probably almost a year I've been listening to you now. So it's been pretty amazing to be on as a guest.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on.
It's been absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to have you on.
Thank you.
So, just before we go, if you want to get in contact with myself and Dave at Love Island Cast on Twitter, the Love Island Cast at gmail.com if you want to email in. And if you do like the show, drop us a review in your podcast catching app, and myself and Dave will read it out for you next time. So, Dave, hopefully we're going to get the reunion underway, and it's all about Dave, Exotic Joe, or Joe Exotic. That's all I'm going to say.
What?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Tiger King.
Oh,
Tiger King. Joe Exotic. I'm telling you, I'm pushing it. It's only 7 episodes, Dave. It could be another series for us. You know what I mean?
We do have to decide, don't we? We have to figure out what our next thing is. But, I mean, it's certainly not going to be Love Island, is it? Because no one's bloody going to be allowed to get within 2 meters of each other.
You should do The Bachelor South Africa.
Now, I do believe,
Good
Jade,
idea.
we didn't mention, but you were accepted on a certain show, weren't you?
Yeah, I was supposed to be on The Bachelor South Africa. I turned it down, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. So far, I think to this day they've got 7 episodes released, and it's really interesting as someone that's supposed to actually be dating this bloke. But
this is the closest we've had to an actual contestant on the show, so I'm taking it.
Okay, we'll say that. I'm happy to go on I've watched loads of The Bachelor, Bachelorette. I watched the Aussie one, especially with Sophie Monk, who presented Love Island. So I'm all up for it. I definitely
Brilliant.
would watch The Bachelor. So yeah, we'll have some discussions, Dave, at Love Island Towers afterwards, I think.
You should do a
See you
poll
next
on your
Tuesday.
Twitter and see.
That's what you're saying.
You always do this just at the end, and I'm like, we're done. And you go, there's this next one lined up.
Jade will understand being a reality specialist like myself, Dave. I'm sorry, but it's got to be Tiger King in the mix for the poll. So let's go with Bachelor Tiger King somewhere else, Dave. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Good luck.
Bye now.
Bye.